What up, nerds, and welcome to another fashionably late episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name's Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 331, recorded on Monday, August 9th, 2021. Tonight, we're going to be talking about another Patreon pick. This one was chosen by Jackie B. The movie is In Fabric. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show tonight. First up, calling in from my immediate right, we got our boy Randy Gandy G. Landy.
Howdy do. I don't have bumps on me today. I apologize. I did like the intro, though, today. Worked on multiple levels. Fashionably late. Fashionable. Late. Yeah. Both things that are either related to this movie or our performance as podcasters.
Accurate on multiple levels. We're going deep tonight.
Yeah, it's also fun to see that you actually write "What's up, nerds" in the show notes, because in case you forget that.
In case I forget it,
it's important.
I'm like Ron fucking Burgundy. I read exactly what's on the telephone.
I'm gonna make use of that.
Appreciate you. Last but not least, calling in from somewhere in the digital world, we got our boy Soju. What's up, man?
What up? It's your boy, Designer Soju. Straight off the rack, boys. Racks on racks on racks.
Straight off the rack.
Designer Soju. That's like designer alcohol. It's going to fuck you up real nice.
I thought you were trying to take my spot.
Real good.
Fucks you up real nice. Real nice. Anyway, let's tackle some housekeeping real quick before we get into the movie review. Gentlemen's, here's another reminder that our September poll pick is currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this September. The theme is Halloween Party. And the three movies to vote between are Casper, The Guest, and Night of the Demons.
Hey, Bob. How those numbers looking? Heading into spooky season. I'm so damn stoked.
I'm stoked too, man. Looking, those fucking spirit stores are going to open any second. And I'm going to fucking lose my shit.
Yes.
Those Radio Shacks are starting to look pretty spooky this time of year.
I know.
Those
former radio
dude,
stores.
What year are you living in?
I'm talking about all the closed stores they're filling up with goodies for Halloween time, buddy.
Yeah.
Come on.
You gotta
the Circuit Cities, the Radio Shacks.
You gotta get your naughty nurse outfits or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, in the same spot you used to get The Sims.
Got to. Regarding the poll, anyways, Night of the Demons is still in first place. Casper is in second. The Guest is in last.
Man. People realized it was the good Casper, and they said, hey, we got to represent.
The good Casper.
One. Where the lady says the bitch is back, so you got to vote for it.
Oh, it's got a race.
The lady and Bob. That's on a greatest hits clip somewhere.
Yeah, that's on the second one, I think. Episode.
If you want to hear Bob say the bitch is back.
I thought you were talking about the second Casper movie. I thought fucking Hillary Duff was saying that shit.
Hillary Duffy.
The bitch is back.
Dude, Hannah Montana.
Totally.
Wait. What?
There's someone very different. Make sure you get your votes in before the end of August. We'll see what movie we're talking about this September. Spooky goddamn season.
I'm making a sneaky bet that Casper's going to come from behind and take it.
You're stating it.
Let me announce my sneaky bets for people to enjoy publicly.
Wow.
You've been playing too much stock market. You watched The Big Short recently?
I have not, but I'll take it under your recommendation.
I watched The Big Shorty, which I feel like that's very different.
The Big Shorty? Is that?
Sounds like.
It's a very different movie.
Is that the porn parody?
That's the porn parody.
All right. Small dicks for smaller chicks.
Everybody's so goddamn tiny. Shouty. That's really all we got regarding Patreon this week. Juice, do you have any YouTube or Twitch or anything like that going on?
Son, my house is clean.
Holy shiitake mushrooms. Our houses are clean.
Thank you for editing that for virgin ears that might be listening.
This house is clean.
You're welcome. Now we're getting into the...
Is this house clean? Tell me.
He's just
I wanted Randy to shut up.
That'll never happen. It's interesting being on this side where I can totally steamroll whoever's playing the fucking bumps.
totally.
That was totally on purpose.
100%. It's time to get into the main event. We're talking about In Fabric, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Yes. In Fabric.
I fixed it.
Totally. From 2018. This is written and directed by Peter Strickland. Stars Marianne Jean-Baptiste, Julianne Barat, Sidse Babbitt Knudsen. That's probably how you say that. Runtime is about an hour 58 minutes, and the plot synopsis is as follows. In Fabric is a haunting ghost story set against the backdrop of a busy winter sales period in a department store and follows the life of a cursed dress as it passes from person to person with devastating consequences.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You own the box, but read the synopsis on Amazon Prime?
Randy, welcome to my world.
The confusion.
Welcome to my world.
Wow. You guys have it really rough, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
We get to see all this just fucked up behind the scenes shit.
It's so fucked
You can see it too on YouTube.
God damn. Gentlemangs, had you seen this movie before? Would you recommend people check it out? Randy, kick us off.
No, I had not. I actually was not aware of this movie really at all before Jackie B requested it. And recommend, so it is an A24 film and it kind of fits into that like subgenre, I guess, or like it's suitable for that production company, certainly. It's got a little bit of a slow burn feel to it. It's character study centric, it seems to be, or at least partially. And it's very, very, very stylish. So yeah, if you've seen other A24 films, which I'm sure many, if not all of you have, it fits into that. To me, I like that sort of thing still. I'm not quite tired of anything like that. So I would recommend that if you're into that sort of thing, you would watch this. I don't think this is a movie that's going to be a big crowd pleaser, or that would be a big crowd pleaser for people. It's not. I think it's like a maybe 1 or 2 person watch. Not a big room, not a beer party.
Definitely not. It's a wine party.
It's a pinkies out fucking wine party.
Juice, what about you?
Dude, were y'all late because you're making tiki drinks?
We were late because we were blasting ass.
Yeah,
actually.
That might have been like a few minutes as to why we were late, but then also other technical issues.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. Just a little behind the scenes. I saw Randy sipping out of that ghost face tiki drink. Woo!
No, I came here with this, so.
Oh yeah. I would not recommend this. I actually think Randy's recommendation of like a 1 or 2 person watching this at a time is appropriate. I can imagine the faces of everyone if you put this on in a crowd of like 6 or 7
put it
people
on at the bar.
Just twisted. What the fuck is this?
I feel like they'd be real mad. I would be. This one was weird because I wasn't aware of this film either, and we got back-to-back A24 movies this week. And the thing is, a lot of the things I was praising last week and I have praised about A24 films, I don't know if I would necessarily give to this one. It is stylish, and it's got some wonky like sound going on, but it doesn't fit the standard. It's like, what is it, A24 with like a BBC twist, which is weird.
And Lionsgate.
It's just the accents that are getting you.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just it's an even more particular style than what you get from the typical A24, and it's not super accessible. And I know there's going to be a crowd for this, but this is not a general recommend for me. Bob, had you seen this one before? Would you recommend?
First time watch for me. I remember this movie came out and I just like immediately forgot that it existed, basically. Somehow, some way. So I'm glad Jackie brought it up for us to watch, because I actually really enjoyed this movie. Surprisingly, I like I don't always love the like avant-garde type stuff, the David Lynchy kind of stuff, the art housey bullshit, if you will, stuff. It's a bit challenging for me sometimes, but for whatever reason, this movie like really like resonated with me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's got some questionable choices that I'm sure we'll get into, but overall, I enjoyed the ride quite a bit, and I really do recommend it if you're into art house shit. If you're not, you're gonna hate this movie. But yeah,
damn, what reality are we in that me and Bob have completely flip-flopped? Completely.
I gotta find the X factor that is making Bob accept this,
and then me reject it.
So it's that you just like the cut of the dress.
I really like.
I mean, you're really taken with it.
The dress.
That's wild.
Hypnosis worked on you.
Say yes to the dress. Okay,
Bob, just say yes.
That's a medium recommend, I think, across the board from the three of us. So yeah, slam your eyeballs into it if you dare. We're going to go ahead and drop that spoiler warning and get into the rest of the movie. Here we go.
Spoiler warning.
Oh, yes. So I got the plot.
Dear God, I am super looking. Damn, that's a long bump. I was just going to let it ride. I did not realize.
I know.
It was
still
so
going.
You don't know the trials and tribulations.
Still going.
I think I'm more interested to hear Bob's plot synopsis than I am to really deep dive into this film. But Bob, please, dear God, tell me you have a plot synopsis.
I got it typed up. Here we go. The plot is as follows. Sheila, a recently divorced bank teller living with her son, purchases a red dress from a department store sale for an upcoming date. Sheila develops a rash on her chest after wearing the dress. She tries to wash the dress, and her washing machine completely falls apart. A dog eventually attacks her while she's wearing the dress, and it's ripped to shreds. The next day, the dress is magically repaired. Sheila tries to return the dress at a certain point, and she finds out the model that was wearing it in the department store catalog died shortly after wearing the dress, and it's the only one of its kind. Sheila then gets in a car accident on the way to her suitor's house. She has a vision of a mannequin in the road, and she ends up dying in the car accident. And the second half of the movie sort of takes place around a completely different central character, a character by the name of Reg. So Reg comes into possession of this same red dress on his bachelor party, where his friends make him wear it at the club. His fiancee, Babs, eventually takes a liking to the dress, and she wears it into the same department store that Sheila bought it from. Reg is back at home while she's shopping. He's watching the television and becomes mesmerized by the department store's commercial while the furnace catches fire and burns the house down, killing Reg. The creepy department store clerk, Miss Luckmore, recognizes the dress Babs is wearing and tries to make her leave the store. Babs refuses. She ends up trying on another dress in the change room. A fight breaks out in the store between two shoppers, and it escalates to a mob of angry shoppers fighting and looting. Babs gets stuck in the changing room. The red dress ends up catching fire, burning the whole store down. Babs dies in the fire, but we see Miss Luckmore escape in a dumbwaiter with a mannequin. As the dumbwaiter lowers, we see all the people whose lives were claimed by the dress sewing new red dresses. A fireman, then surveying the damage, finds the red dress amongst the rubble, totally undamaged. Roll credits.
I think I got to take issue with two things in there, which I understood differently about it. So first, I think that Reg died from carbon monoxide poisoning.
Okay.
I think that was just, small detail. But and then
that's a good point.
The other thing is that Babs, when she goes in and wears the dress, it's also covered by a coat. And I actually don't think that the salesperson recognized it. I think she was just trying to get her out, because that was after a long conversation of her trying to get her to leave anyway, because they were closing.
Yeah, because she came in right when they were closing.
Yeah, because I feel like if she had known that was the dress, and because they know something's up with this dress, she would have kept an eye on that thing instead of letting it burn the fucking place down.
I can't remember. She definitely had a coat on, but I can't remember if it was closed or not. But
it was closed. I looked for it specifically because I was wondering if it was the dress myself, and she never really opened it. I only found out it was the dress once she went and changed clothes in the dressing room.
Okay, gotcha. Well, anyway, she stayed.
Yeah, small details, but I think that plays some talking points later.
Well, there you go. That's the shit that happens in this weird-ass movie.
Yeah. So this was a strange one. I don't know about you guys, but not just based on the trailer, but based on, how long that first segment with Sheila is. I thought this was a movie about Sheila.
Same.
And I was
I thought it was a character study, and that's
it was
why
an aside with Reg, not a full-blown jump.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. That's one of my biggest beefs with this film is because even when we were focused on big beef.
Big boof.
Because even when we were in like the Sheila segment, so the first hour, I was thinking to myself, this movie is of two minds. And it has very split tones for me. And then once we switched from Sheila, because to me, the most engaging part was I was thinking this was kind of like a character study of Sheila, almost like a Saint Maud type of deal where it's like, is there really something wrong with this dress? Or is this woman just kind of manifesting these negative things in her life? And then when we switched to Reg, I was like, oh God, they're taking the worst route for me to where I was engaged with Sheila in her life and was really feeling bad for her.
Totally,
but was still kind of interested in what was going on and hoping, she kind of pulled through. But when it just completely switched to this other character and it became about the dress, I was like, God, why are we going this route?
Did you? So I agree with you that I connected far more with Sheila than I did with Reg's character.
I'm with you both.
So is that the issue? Like you found Reg difficult to identify with, or was it the fact that it was just such a jarring jump to have the movie cut down the middle with like two different main characters?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I get the idea of you want to see the dress jump from person to person. I get that. Except the problem is this movie's too long. One.
Yeah.
And so it's
not 2 hours.
It's almost 2 hours.
Yeah. Is it? Okay, well, maybe I read the wrong thing then.
And I was already a bit frustrated because in the Sheila it wasn't necessarily even about Reg, because honestly, like it wasn't the shift from Sheila to Reg. It was just that I was already frustrated because the segments focusing on the store in the Sheila section I thought were the weakest. And I didn't mind if Reg had come first. I feel like I would be in the same kind of vein a little bit. It's that Reg was weaker, but I was more interested in these characters than I gave a shit anything about this store or this actual dress being haunted. And I thought that the dress being haunted and actually floating around and shit was the worst part. I wanted it to be like a psychological stay where, Sheila is going through this traumatic thing in her life and she's having a hard time relating with her son and she's doing all these things. And so these things manifest as if the dress is causing it, but really it's manifesting in her life.
It's really
and
weird.
I just didn't like, I didn't was causing the carbon monoxide, causing her to crash a car. That tone felt very inconsistent to me.
See, it's so weird because a lot of the things you said I agree with, but through an entirely different avenue, because I did not even once think to myself, even though, yeah, you're right, like this is a pretty common thing to see in movies, really, in movies trying to play that game where it's like, is this real, is this not? That's very common.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really looking for that. I don't know why. I mean, normally I would at least consider it, but I didn't really consider it in this one. I was really focused on this thing, and I loved the store stuff. I loved the hypnotic commercials, first and foremost. Like, that was, like, to me, felt like maybe even the impetus for making the movie, because I felt like this movie was entirely about consumerism and, the idea of, salesmen, hijacking your brain in order to get you to purchase something. And I was thinking of that pretty much from the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm
on the same page with you there, man. I found Miss Luckmore, which is like the store clerk, and like all the other store employees, kind of fascinating. The way that they're portrayed is almost as if they're like a coven of vampires, and they're like mesmerizing the public to come, buy all their shit instead of like feed on their blood. But it's a similar sort of concept.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, except like my thoughts went directly to a coven of witches because it's fitting of that traditional form of like witches with like a a devil-like manager, aka Lucifer, who is, by the way, one of the scariest looking human beings I've ever seen. I was really into them and like what they were doing, because like they did things like Miss Luckmore, the way she spoke was like this insane anachronistic like Shakespearean language
nuts.
to you in order to convey really common things like, oh, it's not refundable, or oh, welcome to the store, I'm going to make you look beautiful. Like things that a salesman would say, but it was like gussied up in a more anachronistic way.
Like
I did like that. I tried to do it for my intro, but couldn't.
Yeah, dude, it is a tough thing to nail. It was tough thing to like, even understand what she was saying.
She says things like, the hesitation in your voice, soon to be an echo in the recess of the spheres of retail.
Yeah, what
like,
exactly.
Nobody speaks like that.
Our beloved store, what is it they say all the time? Our trusted
like
department store, some shit like that.
So let me touch on that and clarify some things with you guys that I just really struggle with this movie. So I found that interesting, but overall for myself, I found it too theatrical in a way that it felt kind of try hard, but at times, or especially early on, I was intrigued by it. But it felt like it created a very inconsistent and not a very good like world building type situation for me. So so like Bob was saying, towards the end, it felt like they were almost afraid of the dress toward the end, and it almost felt like a circumstantial thing where they were like, oh yeah, unfortunately this woman died in this dress, and so it was particular to this dress. It wasn't like all of the clothing they were selling, whereas early on it made them seem like they were a coven of witches, like they were performing some sort of magic in order to, like they were working through the dress. But then in the second half of the film, it's like whatever the dress touches, it corrupts completely and starts killing people on its own, to the point where it destroys its own store that sold it. So I was like, okay, wait a second. Are they witches that are working negatively through this dress? And if so, one, I had a problem with that because it didn't make sense, because they're killing their consumers. And then second, like, or on the other hand, did they have nothing, or did like the dress cut loose and just like do whatever? I don't like it didn't feel like a very consistent or solid like world building aspect from the store point of view. And I think that's one of the big problems I had with it, on top of it being very like a little too theatrical for me.
So I like the theatrics first and foremost. Like, to me, the chintz was intentional. Like, I think it was intentionally, like, this was clearly intentionally channeling Giallo based on my new understanding of what Giallo is. We had conversations about
Giallo.
There's always room for Giallo. Yes, as we know. So I think this movie was playing into that thing, which is more style than substance a lot of the time. So I was on board for that sort of thing. And as far as like the world building, what you're describing, I don't think you're wrong, but I do think that this movie, I think this movie is prioritizing the metaphor over the internal logic of it, which is something that Giallo does, as I understand it. It's more about you know what I mean? So like the idea of it being something that they have to get out of the store, they cannot take it back, and like they're trying to keep you as a customer. So Satan himself shows up and says, "I'm sorry about my employee. Here's a discount voucher." Like that sort of shit. That is consumerism. That is like how stores actually operate. The only thing they're doing is applying a sheen of Giallo level witches on top of that. And to me, like a dress would not necessarily then. You know, they just don't want the dress back because that's the bottom line. I think is like the metaphor is a store doesn't want to take it back because it's surviving based on that thing being out of the store. It can't come back, and whether or not it comes back to hurt them, I think was an accident, which is why I made that point earlier. Yeah, I think that she even like denigrates the dress and says this is we have a dress code here. You basically says you have a dress code. We have a dress code here. You can't wear that. You have to come back in a better dress, so you have to leave now just to get her out of the store. But that's the same dress that she like called mysterious
in the
and put all
story.
this like mystique on.
Yeah.
It was salesman talk that was doing that because she wanted it out the door, and now that she does not want that, she's operating towards towards the bottom line again by getting this dress or getting this person out. She doesn't know, like, the fact that it's evil, I think, is like, again, just sort of like playing to the idea of consumerism. Like, is a dress actually going to improve your life? Is it going to improve your relationships? It might, maybe not. You know what I mean? And then from there, it also just continues to build on just the spookiness aspect and creates a horror from that. And I don't think that it makes internal logic sense. Like, I don't think logical sense is the point, though. I think the metaphor is prioritized heavily.
Definitely.
Oof.
Big Suspiria vibes on this.
Yeah.
See, I wish they would have picked one lane. Like, I'm okay. I feel like I would have been a lot more okay with this movie if they had picked that route, because or like picked one lane. Like, I'm okay with the consumerism metaphor and focusing on that, but when you have so many segments that are literally centered on a flying dress, but also that intertwine. And I think maybe that's maybe a poor editing choice, or how it's directed, intertwined with these witches doing what seems like, some kind of witchcraft or whatever. It becomes very confusing about the overall just general plot. Like, I get the metaphor early on, like even like from the initial buying of the dress, that metaphor is hammered home well. Like, that's fine, and I think that's handled with taste. The problem is when you have a 2-hour movie and the whole idea is like, there's this dress that's killing people. Oh, but also there's this huge metaphor where you have to go to this other place and this whole other group of people to kind of keep hammering that home after 2 hours. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, are we focusing on the dress? Are we focusing on this store and this metaphor? Like, what's the
It's
point?
the journey, man. That's what it's
is.
all about.
But I see
it's
what
not
you're
a
saying,
good journey.
It's
like, go ahead, Bob.
I think the second half of the movie, like, when it first happened, I was like, oh, there's going to be sort of like an interesting sting on the end of this
I thought
movie.
for sure they were turning people into mannequins, by the way.
Yeah, that would make sense too.
That would have been cool, yeah.
But we ended up like spending half the movie with Reg, and at first I sort of like recoiled and wasn't really about it. But with Reg's story, there's like such a thick layer of comedy that like made the medicine go down easy, I think. And like, we're introduced to him at a bachelor party wearing a dress, and he gets hammered and ends up puking in the parking lot. And then like he's a washing machine repairman that's referenced earlier in the movie, and we never think we're going to meet this guy, but we end up spending half the movie with him. And like every time he starts talking about his job in like repairing washing machines, he like gets real monotone and speaks very slowly and methodically about it. Like, he clearly knows a lot about what he's saying, but whoever he's talking to just like glazes over, almost like they're in like they're being hypnotized.
See, I loved that.
I love that too.
Yeah.
It's when he's talking to the bankers specifically, it's like they're about to jizz their shorts.
Dude, they are all like
They
orgasmic.
love
And
it.
what's interesting about that to me is that to me is just another version of what Lovejoy is, or Love, what is her name? Joy, the saleswoman.
Oh, Kilmore. Is that her name? Yeah.
Luckmore. Yes.
Kilmore.
Kilmore.
Killjoy.
No, I think like Reg's like orgasmic technical speak is another way. To me, that's again commenting in another way on the idea of bamboozling people. You know what I mean? Like, if you
Totally.
layer on these layers of technical jargon, people think they're being informed, and they sit there and they nod and say, yes, I understand. They don't fucking understand. They don't know what a widget gasket is, or whatever the fuck he said.
It's
I
like-
don't think that those things are real that he even said.
When you a lot of it was.
No, really? Was it? There was some things
There
that.
was one thing he
Well,
said,
I
like
thought it
riddle
might.
or I don't know.
I thought it might be British lingo too, so I was on the fence. I was like, they say some wild shit.
But I think that's like that's a
They
callback
say
to that. My problem with Reg is not the Reg story. My problem is that I was too invested in Sheila. They spent so long with Sheila that I thought the movie was about her. If they had gone to Reg maybe 20 minutes earlier and then gone to another person that wasn't his wife that was also kind of completely separate and then made it sort of almost anthology-esque, then I could have really wrapped my head around that. So to me, the split was difficult because I just wanted to see more Sheila. I wanted Sheila to have some resolution, and instead Sheila was capped right at sort of like the point of transition for her, point where she might have, started reaching a climax.
Yeah, she's movie. Either going to, at that point, the point they killed off Sheila, it was sink or swim. I completely agree. And to that end, in the Sheila storyline, I was still okay with, the metaphor, like the whole store situation, because to me, as I'm viewing this, in my mind, I agree with Randy. I'm invested in Sheila, and the store part is like, okay, I get the metaphor, and they are just kind of a means to an end. They are a way for me to kind of in a spooky way understand maybe what's happening to Sheila. But what I really care about is Sheila. Mm-hmm. So when they shift that gear and they're like, no, you're really supposed to care about the store and this metaphor, I'm like, well, to me, that was not that was just a means to an end. That was not the story for me that I cared about. Yeah. I did not like that. And it wasn't even necessarily a problem with Reg. I didn't like that shift in what I was supposed to be focused on and care about.
Yeah, and I can totally understand that. To me, it's like that. I could have been right there with you. If I didn't like Reg's story, I would be exactly where you are, I think, with the exception of the one interpretation that we differed on. But like for me, it was the fact that I was so invested in Sheila. Like that whole thing, I totally agree, because Sheila is a lonesome character. You are made to feel for her the entire way through. She's being terrorized by Brienne of Tarth, who is stone cold fucking her boy.
No shit! I didn't even realize that was her.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and like, and
wait, who is it?
Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones.
Her son's girlfriend.
Shit. Oh my God, you're right.
That's awesome.
I thought you said Darth something. I was like, is this something from Star Wars? What the fuck?
I wouldn't know
Fucking nerds.
No,
dude, Brienne of Tarth.
Not
holy shit.
It's Game of Thrones, not nerd shit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That real shit.
Anyway, but yeah, so like she's got a dramatic story, and Reg kind of does too. To me, like, yeah, there's definitely some comedy there that you can pull from, but the comedy comes from him being a very put upon and very belittled man, and I felt for him too. The problem to me is that having a 2-character lineup and then a conclusion, and it's really kind of 3 because it does go to Babs, but Babs is intertwined with his story at the same way that Sheila's son is intertwined with his, and he doesn't get the dress. The dress doesn't have much to do with him except for inconsequential or aside shit.
It tries to kill his girlfriend when they're banging.
Yeah, that's like the most interaction he gets with it, though. It's not something he wears. It's not something that he goes through. He's not listed in the list of characters that is Lovejoy, Lovelace, whatever. Joy, fucking, I can't.
Yeah,
more,
man.
More. Yeah.
I like she's not included. So like to me, it's a completely understandable divide. But to me, I was invested in Reg by the end as well a little bit, and even Babs to some extent. The problem was that the consistency wasn't there for me. Like, so if it's weak because of that. It's not so much weak because either one of those tales is bad, and it's certainly to me not weak because of the witch's coven or whatever's going on there. I thought that was really cool. I thought they could have done a little bit more with it, but because I got the impression they were going for stylistic giallo that's about the feeling and not so much about plot.
Yeah.
I kind of accepted it, I guess. I think that it's really easy to be where you are, Justin. I don't blame you for it at all.
Totally agree. Yeah,
but at the same time, I did enjoy it, and I feel like
thanks for understanding, guys.
We understand you.
No one else does.
It would be so easy to feel that way.
So complex.
You're just not complex enough, and that's fine.
Don't get
you guys get how dark and mysterious my thoughts are.
Yeah. But no, the idea.
You listen to him.
Dude, for show.
Yeah, I don't know. That the whole thing, I just wish it stuck with Sheila, and it could have been it could have been a really fucking cool movie if it had just stuck. Even if what happens to Babs happened to Sheila, she comes back in, she's tricked into trying another dress, and then she takes that dress off or whatever. The dress is with her somehow because she's trying to return it. And then it burns down the building with her inside, and the dress survives and all that. Even then, I feel like it's a more cohesive movie. But they included Reg, and that, to me, derailed things to a point where it's really easy to feel like you were cheated out of that story.
Yeah, and here's even how, if they wanted to go that route, I don't even know. Like, I think it makes it slightly better. I still think, again, I would have preferred like the character study of, focusing on Sheila. But if you're going to kill Sheila and you're going to switch it and you want to show, how the dress continues on and how it affects other people, well, then make it like at least somebody that we know and like loosely tie in the Sheila story. So for instance, if she died and, Brienne of Tarth was the one who inherited it or something, and we see, and so you're like a side, she's like, from the side where she maybe still sees the boyfriend, or we see how it, or her son, how it affected him. And so we then at least get a glimpse into like what, like feeling like that story maybe got wrapped up in some way. I don't know. I hated when they ripped Sheila's story away from me, because that's what Sheila. I cared about.
I agree with that part. And the thing is, like, I did not like when they shifted and did not visit it back. And I think having Brienne of Tarth, that would be cool too, if they had gone from Sheila to Brienne to Reg by some, like, maybe he finds it while trying to fix her fucked up washing machine.
I mean, he could have come over to
it could have been that. But
fix it,
the reason that I think I'm more forgiving of it is not is like because the experiential part was prioritized and the metaphor was prioritized. And I think that there's something to the fact that this is bamboozling so many people, and they do kind of hinted that many times. Not hint, they outright show you that they're showing these commercials of the women like drawing you in quite literally, and showing all these like really fucked up like creepypasta-esque like sale commercials that somebody would put on the internet and tell you it's real, and you'd freak out late at night. And they looked really cool, and people are coming to the store in droves and fighting each other to get in. And by the end, the women fighting is also, I think, part of that. Like you said earlier that like the dress is the only evil dress. I think the whole place is like Needful Things shit. Like I think it's all evil shit that they're trying to get out the door. It's just this is the dress that we are focused on, and I think that or it's like the most evil that we're focused on. And but these things are clearly affecting people in a way that they are willing to fight, claw, and kill each other in order to get fucking socks. And I think that plays very well, very, very well with the metaphor of anti-consumerism. But it doesn't necessarily play well with the idea of logic, because they don't expound on the logic of it.
Yeah, and I think that's a problem, because I find those things intriguing as well. So separate from my problem with like I really cared about Sheila, the parts about, so I said I found them less interesting, but it's because to me they were set up as a tool in the beginning. But there are elements that I liked. Like it seemed as the movie kept going on, people got more intense about it. And even the ending, I actually liked the ending where it showed all the people making kind of this dress again. But I felt so torn, because I was like, if this movie's supposed to be about this store, then we should have seen more store and less like Reg or whatever. And if this movie should have been about these people, then it should have been about Sheila. And so I feel like no matter what, I'm disappointed, because this movie feels so inconsistent in its tone. What the fuck am I supposed to care about? And how is that supposed to be fleshed out? To me, this movie, no matter what lane you choose, it failed on both ends. It failed on the store end, and if that's what I'm supposed to care about, it failed on the Sheila end, if that's what I'm supposed to care about. It split it in two. It's too fucking long, and they didn't pick a lane, in my opinion. Whether you wanted to go giallo or not, or even giallo inspired, that wasn't even a lane that was picked. It's like they're splitting this down the middle.
This has as much lore in it as Suspiria does.
Yeah, I think so. If not more, I think this plot is easier.
I don't think so, because at least with Suspiria, you are at the place. Okay, so if we were at the store, then that would make more sense. But most of or at least half of the time, we are with Sheila or with Reg in their lives.
I don't know. I think that's showing the effect of what this thing has done to them. But, Suspiria, it's at the place all the time, but that's because that's what that place is. I think nobody stays at a store overnight. You know what I mean? Like, if the story is about how these consumers are affected by what they're consuming, we have to go home with them and see what their home lives are like.
Yeah, but I guess even in that fact, okay, so if it's about the store, then why is the focus on this dress? Because even the way Reg comes across the dress has nothing to do with the store. It comes across through a secondhand store. So I'm like, okay, so here's the thing. Here's the problem. If it's about the store, then why is it also about this dress? Because if these people are witches and this is what they're doing, then why is it this single garment that ultimately destroys the store that is also a singular focus at times? That's the problem with me.
That's not the point of the movie. I don't think
I do.
And getting hung up on it doesn't improve or
I'm not necessarily hung up on it. I just think it's weak.
To me, it doesn't. To me, it's not
it's not a normal narrative, and if that's what you want, you're not going to like this movie, no matter what. You're just not going to like it. But it's not trying to tell a normal narrative. It's not trying to give you a normal ass story. It's not concerned with doing that. It's definitely got a metaphor, and it's definitely trying to say something, but it's not trying to answer every single question that you have.
It doesn't exactly not choose a lane. It's blending lanes. To me, it's a blend. It's not a failure to choose one avenue. I don't think they have to choose one avenue or the other in this one. I think that having them, show you real world people in comparison to this otherworldly shop that is taking people's fucked up lives and fucking it up even more by hypnotizing them. I think that's enough on its own. The problem for me is really the pacing decision of having it split into 2 and not 3 segments or more, what I mean? Having it split the way it did, it was very jarring to see it split, and it was not satisfying to me because I wanted to see how the confrontation between Brienne of Tarth and Sheila went, and maybe that's, me adhering to a normal narrative rather than just going with the flow of what this movie's trying to do. But I agree with you on that front. That did bother me to some extent. I overcame that by kind of feeling like the feeling was the most important thing. The metaphor and the feeling of this place is evil. And these things, it comes back and kills the shop or whatever. And to me, that's I think that actually happens not just because of their dress. I don't think the dress is entirely to blame for that because the fight is happening simultaneously. It only happens because people are losing their shit at this fucking store. And so evil Dr. Lucifer, who runs the shop, can't actually isn't able to do anything about it.
They were so good at driving people fucking nuts that they couldn't contain it anymore, and they were overrun. But I think that they're fucking fine with it, honestly. I don't know, maybe that dress was just the most evil thing they ever created. Maybe. And that's why at the end, instead of just having the one they said they had, we see them making several more because it was
the part we're supposed to be rationalizing.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. Yeah, I didn't technically get that.
From my perspective, the reason I'm able to enjoy it is because the part that I think we're supposed to rationalize is the metaphor, and we're supposed to rationalize it through the lens of Sheila at first, who is a real life person who's very put upon, who we feel for, and then later Reg, who I felt for, but also kind of felt was pretty pathetic, and you know what I mean? Needed to stick up for himself and all this stuff, but also who had an element, both of these characters also had an element of salesman to them, because we saw him hypnotize people by being able to talk real fucking good, and we saw that Sheila was a real good. She was a fucking bank teller. She's doing a customer facing job, and she's given high marks for it, with the exception of really pedantic bullshit like them timing her fucking
and her
lunch breaks and shit,
waving to her boss's mistress.
Dude,
I want to touch on that.
Technically, that is hilarious as a concept.
It is. Yeah.
I want to touch on that because in the Sheila, this is another thing where I think where they shift, I had a problem with, and it wasn't just that they ripped Sheila away. in the Sheila segment, the humor to me was very on point to where it wasn't necessarily subtle.
Office Spacey.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
and it was in
anyway.
there and you were like, oh man, this is so wild. Once it switched to Reg, it feel like they took that level of humor and they like took it to 11 and it felt so uneven to me.
You know, Reg reminded me of that energy vampire character Colin from What We Do in the Shadows.
From What We Do in the Shadows.
He's just fucking draining your ass talking about how to fix a washing machine.
And the other thing is okay, so there's another element to this, which is classism, right? So you've got Sheila who walks in and she's, nicely dressed or whatever, but Babs comes in later and she's treated like shit. She has a Cockney accent. She is less refined. Her friends and her family or whatever are blue collar workers, and they try to kick her out. So there's that element too. I don't know exactly what that plays into exactly, but there's a lot of like little things like that are going on to make me think that they are fleshing out the metaphor far more, which is why I agree with you that having, this dress be found at the secondhand store, almost be bought by some woman, but then be bought by some dude who just needs any dress and then moved on and continue to care. I think that's probably the weakest part because that does not serve the metaphor. Everything else in the movie seems to, except for that to me.
Yeah, it's just so confusing that it's like, because in the early scenes they focus so much, like we have this whole scene when she first buys the dress, and also too, I think it's a great scene where she's in there considering buying the dress. So to me, I just feel like they set it up so strong, and I feel frustrated because I'm like, they set that up strong, and then the scenes that follow is almost like this, they're enchanting it. We see this wild dude, and again in another A24 we see this dude jizzing again. I don't know what's
pussy
there.
Bleed
Always
in this
jizzing.
fucking
dude. The mannequin three-way was nuts.
That was that is the primary reason, that and her like taking the mannequin with her in the dumbwaiter.
Yeah.
That is why I was so convinced there's got to be an element where that original model is now a fucking mannequin, and this is like B-movie plotting going on.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that like
Go ahead,
they set that up so strong. Okay, they set that up so strong that when you shift to Reg, I feel like there's several weaknesses going on here that I want to touch. It's not just the switch to Reg as a main character when you're focused on someone that you're invested in, like Sheila. It's that also, again, yes, it comes from a secondhand store, and then it becomes a confusing lore to me. Is like, is this store, these women, this coven, whatever it is, are they actually bewitching this, like, these dresses or this fabric, or has it got a mind of its own? And like, why should I care if it's got a mind of its own?
To me, it's like if you must rationalize it, which if you're trying to rationalize
losing.
it,
It's a losing battle, man.
But even if you are trying to, I think maybe think about it as it's a Frankenstein's monster. They've created a cursed dress, put it into the world, and they don't expect it to ever make its way back because they can turn away the person who bought it, and the next person who gets it isn't theoretically never going to walk into that shop wearing it. That's
so. Are there other dresses out there though that they also control?
I mean,
Probably.
maybe. Yeah. I mean, like,
I would think so.
Okay.
I don't think it's unfair to think that that's possible.
Okay.
Yeah. I gotta mention fucking Sheila, poor Sheila. So like, she's a widow and she's trying to get back out there, and that's
she's
why
not a
Her
widow.
son sucks, by the way.
She's
Real quick.
I'm sorry, divorced,
yes.
divorcee.
Yeah.
So she's trying to get back out there. That's why she buys this hot red number. She's going out on a date, and she goes out on a couple dates actually. And the first
Dude,
one,
Adonis. Let's talk about Adonis.
we got to talk
Are we
about
jumping a Cooter
Adonis.
segment already?
Well, no, but she goes out on a date with fucking Adonis, and he is like the least interesting / least interested person I've ever seen in my life.
He's the most rude person in the world. Maybe.
In both the dates she goes on, these dudes take her to the same spot, and they're both like, "Hey, I got a coupon. The only catch is we got to split a pudding at the end." Like, these motherfuckers just gotta split puddings. I don't know. I felt bad for the woman, but fucking Adonis is a lame.
But then she
fucking
does
date.
get a second date with somebody who's decent.
Dude, yeah, but
least
he still
comparatively.
he still needs that fucking pudding.
Yeah, he still needs his fucking coupon.
needs his-
Because the thing is, that again goes to the consumerism thing. Like, that's part of the appeal of going on a date is saving money.
You're fucking right, man. I didn't even consider that.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, everything about even the waiter in this movie, like, even though he's treated like shit by Adonis, and you kind of feel like, well, this poor waiter.
Yeah.
Later on, he's still he literally uses some of the same language. I think he says something like our venerable restaurant or something. Like, he's using salesman language.
Anytime someone orders anything from him, he always responds with immediately.
Yes, yeah, and no, that's what it is. And they say immediately.
A lucky.
Both of them say
Yeah.
immediately
And he says
whenever
something
they're
about
asked to do
lucky.
something.
Yeah.
Or yeah,
Like you're
might
a
have been-
lucky meal or something.
Yeah, something like that. He again, like, it's about salesmanship, and the thing is, we see what a salesman looks like when she goes home, and Sheila, and how depressed and horrible she is. But she's buying into consumerism herself, and it's doing nothing for her. It is actually,
But she
actively harming
has
her.
to because she's like pressured from her bosses to kind of do the same
because
thing.
the system protects itself.
Yeah. Now, see, this is a shame. We have been talking for an hour now about this film, and we have hardly, like, we're just now getting to Adonis and the dates. Man, I like the first hour of this movie. I was okay even with the theatrics of the story. It wasn't until they switched gears that I had a problem with it. I feel the story of Sheila was so rich, and I feel like even frustrated that we haven't spent even more time we haven't talked about her relationship with her son.
I know.
How she struggles through her job and things like that. Man, like in this first hour, I was like tolerating the theatrics, and like I was like it wasn't bothering me yet. And man, her story was so rich, and like they built it up so well that I felt it was almost like a travesty, like in just film history, that it became a gimmick. I think that's why I'm so frustrated. It's because her like
They traded in a rich story for a gimmick, is what you're saying.
For a metaphor, yeah, for a gimmick. I do, because man, her dates, and they set it up in this kind of time where you're going through the VHSs, this kind of timeless feel, and then also the situation with her son, it all just felt relatable. And the fact that I'm not a 50-year-old, black woman, but the struggles that she was having with her son, and like how she was feeling like she needed to look good, and the frustration she was feeling with this dating scene, everything, like it just all felt so authentic that it's such a shame to me that it became a gimmick. I hate that.
See, and I feel like that's where we agree, to the point where I totally see what you're saying. And I mean, it's partially because the performances in that segment are so goddamn good.
Yeah,
Whoever's
and
playing
it's just
Sheila
so
is
well written.
Fucking amazing. And yeah, it's well written, and she's just the most put upon person in the world by the most fucked up system in the world of she's in Office Space and she's in Suspiria at the same goddamn time, and her son is banging Brienne of Tarth. Like she's rubbing it in her
That
face.
shit was crap,
that she's
dude.
having
When
sex, but the 50-year-old divorcee is not. As if that
when
is
she
somehow
finds
a
that
better
painting of the
Oh my
butthole,
god, the butthole painting.
And everybody's worshiping the butthole.
Dude, if I had made the graphics for this episode after seeing the movie, that might have been the fucking promo.
butthole worship. That's
Dude,
the
I
name of the
lost
show.
my shit.
I laughed
That's where I was like, this movie has very clever humor. It wasn't like shoved down my mouth. I was like, that
Yeah.
shit is hilarious.
That is hilarious. And he's jerking off to his own drawings, by the way. That kid sucks.
He does suck.
He
Dude, whenever
sucks.
Brienne is showering and the mom's like got a pee real bad, she thinks her son's in there. He's like, knocking on the door saying, "Hurry up, I really got to go." And then Brienne walks out and she's like, "Oh, your boy? Yeah, he's in bed. As soon as he gets his nut, he falls asleep." Yeah,
That's
and it's
a
like
perfect
would
impression.
fucking say that to
Somebody,
the dude's
it's
mom.
a power
Like,
play, and that's like yet another reason she's put him on. And that
Yeah.
is the reason. That is yet another reason that I agree with Justin that I want to see a resolution for that.
Yeah.
Like just on a pure storytelling level, I want to see that. But that said, because to me the metaphor is so strong, and I can see that they're prioritizing that and the style over that sort of thing for stylistic purposes and for for making a point. The purpose of making a point, I can overlook it. And if I had my way with this movie in the early days, I would say just focus on Sheila. You've got something special here, or just focus on Reg if you prefer that. But focus on somebody, and make them your central character study on them. And it doesn't, to me, I don't think the metaphor that they're trying to say is served by saying that it's all in the person's head, because it's about malignant forces enacting upon you, be they witches or advertisers. So to me, the metaphor is strong enough to supersede that, to overcome that. And as much as I see that, as I agree with you that is something that I would prefer to see done differently, I think that it still works. And I enjoyed myself trying to parse that.
I think it's also worth mentioning that this movie is set around Christmas time. It's like the Christmas holiday, so there's like all these special sales going on and stuff too. So that like plays
right after the Christmas holiday.
Yeah, that plays into like the consumerism side of it as well. Like people are trying to find a deal.
It's not a subtle metaphor, but it is an intricate metaphor, I would say.
Yeah, I like how it's handled, honestly. I really do.
That to me is if I was to tell somebody to watch this movie, it would be because it has a really interesting anti-consumerism message. It wouldn't be, and it has really great acting and a few other things, but it wouldn't be because it's got a really cool world where witches turn people into fucking consumerist vampires. That is the story being told, but that is not the real story being told.
I feel like that's such a strange choice too, because to me, this movie is so it was long. And the thing is, if I say like, I take the Sheila aspect, I'm like, okay, I like the Sheila aspect. It was an hour. And even to be honest, I like the Reg aspect, despite
kind of on its own, it works.
That right? On its own, it works. But the problem is these two broken segments put together is way too fucking long. And if you wanted to tell the story of the metaphor, I feel like there's a better way to do it. In the fight, like cut this bish into thirds and cut each segment down to 30 minutes. Do not make me invested in a character for over an hour and then rip that shit away in order to sell me on another character for about 50 minutes.
Could have been. I mean, it could very well
I don't know exactly. But yeah, I think it was roughly split in half almost. Like I didn't time it or anything.
Yeah, I don't entirely disagree with that. I think there was a better way even to do the metaphor. I just think that the metaphor itself was well enough portrayed to entertain me throughout. I will say that the Reg thing, I really think that this movie feels long because we don't get resolution on that first segment.
Yeah,
I think that's really the issue.
That's just cold-blooded consumerism. You don't get resolution, baby.
Rob's taking it to the
Stop
fourth
trying
level
to make
here.
this work.
The metaphor is landed.
Shit,
I bought this movie. I'm a monster.
No, I mean, I think there is something to say about the fact that Reg picks it up from like a secondhand store, or his buddy does, anyways. Like it's just like consumerism does have layers. It doesn't help us buy into the fact that
Shrek,
that witches made these dresses or anything like that. Just like Shrek, this movie's like an onion. Consumerism is like onions.
I'm sitting here thinking about that thrift store scene, and there's a segment where a woman is considering buying it, and there is a saleswoman there at a thrift store, which I have never seen somebody try and sell a dress at a thrift store. But this movie is making a point to show that. But she is clearly less capable than Miss Luckmore.
Nailed it.
Hell yeah. So yeah, she's less capable than Miss Luckmore, so she's not speaking in as many riddles. She's not as sophisticated, and so the lady's like, I can't afford to go on a cruise. She even tries to paint a picture of her on a cruise in order to want to look cool, flapping in the wind. And she's like, yeah, but I can't afford a cruise, so I'm not buying it. And then somebody just happens to pick it up.
God, this world is so depressing, isn't it?
Well, I mean, yeah, the world it's
the
making
actual world.
Yeah, yes.
I meant just the world that they're portraying.
We're getting real fucking deep.
Yeah, you want to go real
I'm
deep? We
fine.
can talk about it. I'm almost drank this whole
Dude,
Scream
I'm
face.
twisted. I'm not.
This whole Scream face. No, we're
Rob, land the plane.
We need to land.
yeah. We are landing that motherfucking plane. Let's go ahead and rate this thing, gentlemangs, out of 5. Juice, why don't you kick us off? How you feel about In Fabric?
All right, man. I feel angry in some ways. I do, because it's one thing to make a bad film. It's one thing to make a bad film. It's another thing to waste like oodles of potential. And here's the thing. I think the metaphor has potential. I think Sheila, that story had the most potential with like the vehicle being, okay, it's about witches and stuff. I was fine with that. But then I didn't hate on the Reg segment. I thought that had its own potential and stuff too. Where this movie just fucks off to me is trying to cram all those things in and making it a gimmick. It's making me like kind of mad. I'm twisted a bit, but it's making me irritated because
twisted off that soju.
Because it's almost 3 pieces of interesting art. One that I feel like has like great potential in the Sheila story and the acting and the writing and how it was heading, and like just 30 minutes you need to wrap up the story, even keeping the theatrics of this store, and you have a fantastic film to me. And they fucking blew it over this gimmick. That's irritating to me. That's so irritating.
You got to keep them irritated, like the Offspring.
But I'm gonna keep but I gotta respect the craft. Like that's like, at the same time, it's like I'm criticizing though what I was fascinated by, because the acting and the writing and the craft, especially in the Sheila segment. But again, I think it was fine. And maybe the comedy was cranked up too much in the Reg segment. The problem is I love the ingredients, but I hate the fucking soup. You know, like each one of the things that go into this.
Where does the mannequin blood figure into the soup?
It does not fit in.
Dude, but do you think the band Mannequin Pussy got their name from this movie?
No.
They've been around a lot longer than 2018.
Just let me have this.
I'm okay, Rob.
No, I will not.
Damn it.
Congrats, Bob.
But what I'm saying is I like the individual segments as they stand alone, and I wish those could have been fleshed out and reach their full potential in their own. Instead, they're all mashed together, and the sum is like less than the parts. So I like the parts. I don't like the overall package that it comes in. And like, it's frustrating to me, but I got to give credit where credit's due. The acting it's got style, man. And like a lot of I didn't like that wonky ass music that they were playing during the commercial, but I see like where they were going for it. The talking was very interesting. The way she was like portrayed as a saleswoman. I found the Coven interesting. I didn't fully understand the mannequin situation. I liked the ending where they're all making the dresses. I liked the Sheila segment. I liked the Red segment. The acting was great. The writing was great. It's just, I hate how it was all mashed together. So overall, I'll give this a 2.5.
2.5 from Soju. Twisted motherfucking Soju. I'm going to slide into these DMs real quick.
Ooh, the DMs
out of 5. Yeah. In Fabric.
What do you think?
What you got?
I love the aesthetic of this movie. It's definitely referencing like Italian films, specifically giallo. A lot of the lighting and the way it's sort of edited is very like mysterious. The way the characters like act, speak, carry themselves is very like, it's got this like air of mystery to it. And like, you're not supposed to know exactly what's happening. You're not going to have all the answers to all the questions, but that doesn't really like bother me because I guess I was willing to like give myself over to the story and like strap in for the ride. And like, I got the point, I got the emotions, I got the feeling, and that's really enough. I also like I love how the movie looks. I love how the movie sounds. Like the soundtrack is fucking incredible. There's a lot of like transitional sequences in this movie that almost look like a collage of a bunch of images that were ripped out of like department store catalogs, and then there's like weird mannequin hands like coming into frame and stuff. They even like go as far as to make the alarm, like whenever the department store catches fire towards the end of the movie, the alarm even sounds like very specifically crafted. It's not a normal sounding alarm. It's like this weird like
and
synth.
it alters.
Yeah,
That was interesting.
And like the recorded voice like that's coming over the intercom it's just all like very strange and
uncanny.
Yeah, but like in a way that intrigues the fuck out of me. And I love the way the world feels. The comedy, the healthy dose of comedy, like really, really helps ease the transition between the two main characters for me. Like it just sort of helps me roll with the punches a little bit. I don't know, the art design's fantastic. The performances are solid as hell. Every time that dude just starts talking about fixing a washing machine, it's like hilarious to me. I don't know. It feels like straight out of Office Space. Like he's got a meeting with the fucking Bobs, and the Bobs are about to jizz their shorts because he's telling them how to fix their washing machine.
That feels like Office Space.
Yeah, well,
the jizzing the shorts
like
part might be a little.
It's like Office Space,
that
but
might be
like
a little beyond the scope of Mike Judge.
Yeah, well, it's like Office Space directed by David fucking Lynch, is what it is.
I like that.
And
I would love to see a lot of fucking movies directed by Lynch in a second.
I dig that weird like hodgepodge of shit for some reason. It just like hits me really well. It is definitely too long. I feel that. The fact that they cut this movie in half is it's a strange choice, and I totally agree that Sheila's story is like way more weighty. It really is. They could have made the whole movie about her and it would have been fine, but also I never would have like watched those bank tellers jizz their shorts. So I'm not mad that they made the choice. It's just a strange decision. I love the weird lore with like the witch / vampire people working at this department store and like the mindless consumerism, the commentary. I dig this movie quite a bit. I think ultimately I'm going to land with a 3.5 on it out of 5. Randy, how you feel?
So, yeah, it's interesting that Justin has the feeling that he does about it of being angry and irritated, because I can both understand it, and we seem to have a lot of the same feelings about this movie in terms of like the individual components, but his amount to a way more negative point of view than mine does on it. And that, I mean, I just think that's interesting. So I think that I tend to agree with you on this one, Bob, that this movie is not a movie that, you know, it's a movie about feeling and metaphor over, you know, lore. You know, I don't feel the need to interrogate the functions of each component of this and see how they fit into each other and see who would react to what. I feel like this movie operates best and is intended to operate on a level of this is how the world is, and it's absurd. Like, this is kind of like, to me, and it's an anti-consumerist message in my mind, and maybe I'm just more receptive to that. I mean, I did just watch The Big Short recently, so maybe I'm just more receptive to an anti-consumerist message in general.
You mean The Big Shorty?
The Big Shorty, yes, excuse me.
The Thick Shorty.
The Thick and Big Shorty.
Oh, God.
Yes. No, I just feel like this movie...
it doesn't have length, but it's got girth.
So much girth. 8 inches of girth. 2 inches of it's a dinner plate.
It's all girth, baby.
It's a dinner plate.
Anyway, yes. So I think I just feel like this movie, like craft wise, just speaking purely of visuals, style, and acting, impeccable. I really do think this is an impeccable film in those regards. I think that this movie has the richest colors I've seen in a while. The title sequence of this movie, for me, was jizz-worthy on its own merit. It was great. Yeah. I just love the look of it. It's so unique in the field of horror movies, or movies in general right now. And I just loved it. I loved it. Immediately I was engaged. And I think that, you know, I could focus on what is lacking from the lore, but for me, it's more about the metaphor. And the metaphor doesn't stay 100% consistent, as I pointed out earlier. But by and large, it does stick to the idea that people are pulling the wool over your eyes, telling you need something, telling you that your life is going to be filled with love because you purchase a product. And that is the central message of this film. I think this movie could have easily, and to agree with Justin, easily been focused on Sheila and totally achieved that goal. And to Rob's point, I think it could have done that while also engaging with Reg's orgasmic technical speak, because they could have just done an aside with Sheila's bosses who know Reg. And could have just said, she even mentioned Reg in a conversation. They could have said, yes, Reg, who repaired our machine. And they could have jumped to a scene of him explaining it and them jizzing. And that would have been the same correlation I drew earlier of technical speak as a consumerist message versus advertising speak as a consumerist message. Like, that could have drawn the same correlation. And therefore, the Reg story, though I do like parts of it, could have been excised completely. I agree with that. And I think that it's fair to be upset that we got less Sheila in lieu of Reg. And I think that's why this movie feels as long as it does. All of that I agree with. That said, I think that I'm maybe receptive enough, or I just think enough. I think enough care was put into the metaphor and to the idea of this movie and the style and everything else that it carried me through that frustration to the end point. And I think that while not a perfect movie, this is a very fucking interesting movie that I could continue talking about for another hour easily. So on that regard, I would also give it a 3.5.
3.5 from Randy is going to put our aggregate at a 3.2. Let's go ahead and jump into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about In Fabric.
Certified fresh to death.
All right, ladies and ghouls, we're going into the Rotten Tomatoes segment. In this segment, I'm going to have these two gentlemen guess, within the best of their abilities, what the aggregate scores are for both critics and users on RottenTomatoes.com. We're going to start with the critics score, as we usually do. And let me see. Today, I'll go with Juice on this one. We have 160 reviews counted. I guess that's exactly 160. What do you think between 0 and 100%? What percentage of those reviews are positive?
Dude, art house bullshit mixed with a metaphor about anti-consumerism. I bet the critics are jizzing their shorts over this shit.
Reg style.
Give me the Project 86, please.
86. All right. Bob, how about you?
Boys never let me down.
Never, except they do regularly. I'm gonna $1. I'm gonna $1 old juicy shorts over here with 87.
Ooh, 87. Well, I mean, $1 Bob did the trick. It's a 91%, and that means Bob gets the win on that one.
Ooh, can I get a Housekeeping?
You can get a Housekeeping.
Thanks.
Oh, a little Michael Jackson in that one. Okay.
Thanks.
Little MJ. All right. Let's see. Let's go to the user score. There are 250 plus, so not a terribly large amount of critics or user audience scores. Let's start with Bob this time. What do you think the audience gave this film?
I feel like this has to be lower than the critics because it's not super accessible for reasons that we've already discussed. I'm going to go with a 69%, please.
69 percentile. All right. That's the comedy number. Juice, where do you land on this one, users wise?
Can you please tell me again how many users review this?
250 plus.
And Bob said 69.
Number.
I feel like this is going to follow last week's trend. Old A24 at it again. I feel like there's going to be a big divide between users and critics. And even us today, we were all pretty divided on how we felt about this. I'm going to drop it down 60 dudes.
60 dudes. Those 9 are feeling left out. So Soju, how you feel about winning this one?
Oh,
it would be a 50%.
Damn.
50% even.
Dude, A24.
So you actually are quite on the pulse of the audience, Soju, because you gave that pretty much.
Yeah, 2.5.
So
Mang of the people, soju.
this week,
That's what they call me.
Mang.
All right, let's see the critics' consensus. It reads as follows. In Fabric's gauzy giallo allure weaves, a surreal spell, blending stylish horror and dark comedy to offer audiences a captivating treat. And audiences seem to disagree with that. At least 50% of them do. So I think that's relatively fair. It's just, the comment on audiences is clearly contradicted by its own score. So let's go and read a couple of negative reviews. They are occasionally funny, and so I read them at random.
That's
Here's
more appropriate.
One. This is not the film to see if you're after a sleazy good time. It is more a game of hunt the symbol with possible interpretations scattered so thickly it is hard to pick just one. I don't know if I entirely disagree with that.
I want a sleazy good time.
I don't think that it's that.
Yeah, I don't know
obtuse,
why
though.
he prefaced his like pretty on point comment with "if you're looking for a sleazy time."
Is this the movie you want?
Not what the movie's advertising at all.
Yeah, is the movie calling for hey sleaze bags, come check out a
what
horny
the
horror
fuck?
film about
That's what I
fabric.
always think when I go see an A24 film. I'm looking for something sleazy.
He's a porn reviewer typically. I don't know.
Maybe.
Here's one more negative review. I literally lost the thread, not to put too annoying a pun on it. I like that. I think that's quite funny.
I'm a little annoyed.
I'm not
by the
annoyed.
pun.
I'm quite engaged with the pun.
I'm annoyed by the fact that he felt the need to point it out.
Okay. You think he's just trying to go too big for his
Did you get it? Did you get the pun?
Did you get my
It's very subtle. You might have missed it.
People point out puns all the
Bob.
time because they're so goddamn subtle.
Hey, Bob, did you get it?
You know what we're about to get?
Hey, did I get a hell yeet?
I don't know. We'll go to the record later.
Hello, Yeet.
Hello, Yeet. Howdy, Yeet.
There's not a whole lot of trivia on this, so we're going
There's not.
glide right over that, and we're going to go hunting for the Cooter of the week.
Straight chillin'. Cooter of the week.
Hey, Soju, what is a Cooter? Why are we hunting them?
Well, Bob, let me break it down for you. A Cooter is a character type and a straight chillin' exclusive. Will come for your ass if you use this without
We will
permission.
come for your ass.
Exactly. Chose my words. Anyways. Cooter is a character type. A Cooter must hit 3 of these to be considered a Cooter. We want the Cooter with the most points. The 5 points are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, who is the Cooter of this wacky ass movie?
I have a suggestion.
Go for it.
Please, Randy, submit to the court.
I think that we have somebody who hits at least 4 of these, and I think that is Brienne of Tarth.
Ooh, I was thinking, okay, I'll save
Adonis
it.
was my first thought, but I think Brienne hits more.
I have somebody else, but okay. All right, let's break down Brienne of Tarth. Randy, give us our first point.
Yeah, her first point, first of all, is looking at tires. She's very much dominatrixed out in this film. I think that's fair to say that it is not a typical look she's sporting.
She's got a goth thing going on. Was there enough for a dominatrix look, though?
I don't recall that.
Well,
she was just all blacked out.
We don't ever see her in a lot of clothes, except when she's playing Sorry. And I don't know anybody who dresses that way to play Sorry, personally. That's my feeling.
Dude, you don't know the right people.
So talking about playing,
maybe I just don't know the right people.
Talking about playing Sorry, let's jump to another point: smug arrogance.
Yes,
Jesus Christ,
that is really probably the strongest point. Her smug arrogance in this. She not only is absolutely willing to gallivant the fact that she's fucking this poor, lonely divorcee's son over her head and just parade it around. But she's also going to take the pettiest route possible while playing a children's board game.
Well, also, that she's got complete control over him. Not that she's just fucking him, but that she can make him do whatever he wants. And like, even we don't get it directly from Brianna Tarth, but the mom's like, yeah, she just like pillages my wine collection. And she's like, and you know, the way she's just using this woman's house and her son and her, like, that's fucking smug as shit.
That is super smug. And I would argue that there's some manipulation happening for sure because of what you just said. Like, there is certainly
on the
some level of
part,
control happening. Literally, the man is drawing fucking glorifying asshole images of this woman. So I can't imagine that there's no.
And I mean, on the smug arrogance,
it could be just. Sorry, go ahead.
When she's modeling and she doesn't even speak to the mom.
I know.
Oh
it
my
takes nothing
God.
It ruins nothing. In that moment, I thought, okay, maybe this woman is just being like overly committed and she's going to be like, oh, I'm sorry for being rude earlier. My name is I don't know. Maybe that's my rarely seen optimist brain, but I was thinking that was going to happen. I thought that it was going to be more about her versus her and her son being at odds, but it's very much about her and Brienne being at odds. And that is the start of that for sure.
Brienne's got the golden butthole. So
the goldenest butthole.
Dude,
that
people
is
worship that shit.
Butthole. You got to praise her butthole like you should.
Hey,
at the altar of the butthole.
Randy understands.
That is my motto. Randy understands.
Yeah.
Let's see. So sexual deviancy. I think the idea of telling a woman that you have made her son come is pretty deviant in my mind. It's at least a power play related to sex, and to me, it's a cruel version of that.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
I think that the cruelty is getting her off. I think that's a sexually deviant move, personally.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. I'm down.
So that is 4. Patheticness is the one I don't have a great example for off the top of my head. Like, she's very, very much in control of those situations, and she never gets put in her place except by the fucking
It's
dress.
pathetic to fuck around with an older lady like she's doing for no reason other than to make yourself feel like big and bad.
Like, on a morality level.
Yeah, if we saw more of her life, like if she actually, you know, was insecure or being picked on or something, then that would make sense. But we don't see a whole lot of her.
Yeah, I just feel like there's not a lot of her being... Like, Reg is clearly made out to be pathetic. And if
Reg is pathetic.
Someone out to be pathetic in this film, they can do it, and they don't do it with her. So hang
on. I wanted to nominate the son. Actually,
okay. Go on.
So the son, I feel like he's pretty pathetic in a way because
that book she finds?
The way. Well, okay. Well, man, there's so many. I think he hits pretty hard on the Cooter level. Sexual deviance. He jerks off to his own paintings.
They are really
also pathetic.
Which also ties into, I think, patheticness.
Yeah, I'll agree. I've never jerked off to my own drawings. I want that on the record.
But your paintings you have.
But my lithographs certainly.
But also in the realm, I guess, of patheticness is kind of tied into Brianna Tarth. Is that like he's doing this to his mom? Like he's a grown ass man, and he's treating his mom like, oh, make me dinner, mom, and like, oh, put it in the fridge, mom, and like that's so like the way he treats her is so pathetic.
It's so shit. It's just like, honestly, the only word I can think about is shitty, because especially like the point where I decided he was irredeemable was when he, after going to his dad's place to have his dad's new girlfriend's curry and is praising her curry, comes back home and then shits on his mom's haircut rather than and then says, oh, are you going on a date? Isn't it assumed? I thought you were trying to fix it with that. It's like, what the fuck? You just went and ate your dad's girlfriend's curry. Who the fuck do you think you are?
He shits on her hair and on her clothes. He's like, oh, Brianna Tarth would never be caught in that or whatever. Dude, when his mom is just asked like, what? So like, that dude, I think he's the biggest curse. So he's jerking off to his own paintings. He's treating his mom like shit.
Hits extra hard on patheticness.
Can we nominate a Cooter couple? It's a Cooter power couple.
Wow, a Cooter power couple. I kind of like that.
They got golden buttholes. Right. They're jerking off to their own paintings.
Wait, what was that, Mom? What do we have?
Man, somebody's planning for the future.
It's a Cooter power couple.
Ass to mouth.
Yeah, Randy.
I got the power tonight, baby.
I mean, I do believe there's some ass to mouth happening in this couple. I do think so.
Yeah, well, it's a
I
golden ass.
I think we might see
nothing
a
wrong
little
with
taste
that,
of it.
except unless you're a couple of Cooters, you're a Cooter power couple.
Golden ass to the golden mouth. Ooh.
We didn't see where that guy's mouth was going.
It was going all
when she
over.
was when she was looking through the peephole.
I think that there was no holds barred, personally. Yeah, but we have patheticness for sure. We have sexual deviancy in the sense that he's jerking off to his own paintings and drawings.
She's got the golden eye, shall we say?
The golden eye of Horace's asshole. Yeah, and then looking attired.
Now the old
not a whole
gold
lot of looking
starfish.
attire. I think he's pretty stylishly dressed. Manipulation. I don't think he particularly manipulates anybody. At least not intentionally. Do you disagree with that?
Manipulates. He might manipulate her.
The Brienne?
No, his mother.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a little bit. Maybe because
Through his snarky and like comments and attitude.
well, he definitely thinks he can get away with more than he should reasonably be.
But also
willing to get
too,
away
yeah,
with even.
like I feel like the snarky comments, it's pathetic, but also against her hair and her dress, it's almost to knock her down a peg so that she feels like she has to get back with the dad or something. You know,
My
like
feeling is-
putting.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like putting her in like a rough position. You know.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think that maybe what we have is a Cooter power couple because we have Brienne with 4 out of 5 marks, and then we have whatever his name is, the boyfriend,
Yeah, what is
that
his
5th
name?
mark as hard as fucking possible. He's the most pathetic character in this movie, including Reg, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's
So I think
rough,
I'm
and
going with the power couple. I'm down with that answer.
Yes.
that's fine with me.
Brienne of Barf and Dipshit McGee, power couple.
Book them and put them in separate cages.
Book 'em Dano.
What was that kid's name? Does anybody
Titus
remember?
or something.
I don't
like,
remember.
or,
Titus?
I don't know.
I don't think it was
I
that.
feel like it was something with
I
a
think
T,
it was
though.
tight ass.
Tight ass. I mean, that's certainly his name for her, if I had to guess.
Even when his mom like compliments his drawings and shit, he's just such a cooter. He is such a
sucks.
cooter.
I
He really
really
sucks.
fucking hate that kid.
He's
This-
tossing the golden
I
salad.
thought maybe he'd come around because he does kind of defend her honor in French when she can't understand him. So I think there's an element
Yeah,
of
so
wanting
she
to
doesn't know.
Yeah.
As long as she doesn't know that he's like
defending
looking
her
out
at
for
all.
her. Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. Anyway,
Because even that's like smug arrogance because he's like flouting that like over her, like, oh, you don't speak French, like you're less or what. I'm fucking piece of
I don't
shit.
know. He's just he just sucks. He sucks. He sucks
he
and
sucks.
she sucks, and they suck as the 5-star power Cooter couple that they are.
All right, sounds good.
we got it. We did it. We're going to hold what we've been watching for next episode because we got a lot of shit to get through. But we're going to go ahead and get into our Hotline Screams. Here we go.
Hotline Scream.
Remix.
Just let it
Yes.
roll. If you guys are listening and would like to call in and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got a couple voicemails this week. First up, we're going to hear from Wes. Let's hear what he has to say.
I think so.
Maybe.
Let's find out.
Yee hee. 1 a.m. West has come out of hibernation and is calling once again. To tell you a story about drunkenness without actually drinking. Actually has nothing to do with being drunk. But one time I was at a football game when I was little. And I got beer spilled on me when I was like 8, and I thought I was going to get drunk, so I cried the whole football game. All right. And one last thing I should say is...
Well, I love that.
Old Drunk Baby West.
Drunk
Dude,
Baby
got his
West.
whole soundtrack going and everything.
Dude, that fucking Manos the Hands of Fate level soundtrack was my favorite. I love that.
Oh,
It's all sad. It sounds like a fucking old Fellini movie.
Wes is trying to say if you got kids that are 8 or below, feed them beer. They'll love it.
Yes. Direct all your queries to 1 a.m. West.
1 a.m. West.
The speech to text read the last thing. He's like, all right, and one last thing I should say is dead. So apparently reads it dead. Ooh, text to speech thinks you're dead right now.
Damn. Foghorn, leghorn,
Speech
head
to
ass.
text, whatever the fuck it is.
Thanks for calling, Wes. Maybe a couple more piano lessons. You'll tighten that shit up. Next up, we're going to hear from Brandon. Let's hear what Brandon has to say.
Hey, boys. This is your boy, Brandon. Currently watching this movie called Candisha on Shudder. It's pretty wild. Girl uses her period blood to draw a pentagram. So that's fucked up. Just wanted to say you guys are rocking it these days. Episode's been on point. Lots of laughs. Always a good time. Appreciate ya. Anyways, calling in because I thought of a funny joke. Not really a joke. I mean, it's a joke, but it's more of like a pickup line, you know? Yeah. Hey, girl. This is worth it. I've got the STD. All I need is you. Anyways, boys, thinking you guys got to come up with your best pickup lines and let us know them. Good rest of your night, day, whatever time it is that you listen to this.
So I think his setup was dropped out there a little bit, at least on our end anyways. He says, hey girl, you looking for a stud?
Yes.
I've got the STD, all I need is you.
Yes.
Oh, my Lord.
That I loved every part of that. I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
Everything about
Brandon is not stoned at all.
That
I think
joke
he was
is
sober
great.
as a judge.
Yes.
That man's never touched a leaf in his
Never
life.
touched a weed ever.
Never touched a leaf. He's lived in a bubble.
Dude, he sticks with the water Pokemongs.
Oh, Bubble Boy Brando.
Very much a ghost guy.
What's your pickup line, Randy?
I have no pick. Honestly, nothing's gonna. First of all, that joke is hilarious, and I'm not gonna be able to beat it. Certainly not as drunk as I am. But yeah, the fact everything about that was great. The immense pause between saying I'm gonna tell a joke and then telling the joke almost is funnier than the joke. I love it.
Thanks for the dramatic pause. Juice, you got any good pickup lines?
Dude, my go-to pickup line was always, I like your moves.
Yes, I think you said that to me many times.
I think that worked out for Bob quite a few times, if I recall.
Oh, quite a few times.
Especially
50-50.
especially when you're in a very loud club and the girl actually thinks you say, I like your boobs.
Yeah, it works
Yes.
every time.
Works every time.
I've never seen it not work. If by working I
That's
mean
true.
a girl walks away very quickly.
I like your moves.
I don't have any like real solid original pickup lines. I've never like actually tried to use like a legit line like that.
Yeah.
Bob,
So-
you've used I like your moves.
I don't think I have.
I know
I don't
you
know.
have.
Nothing's gonna beat STD. Like who the fuck would ever? That's the best pickup line because it's the least usable.
It would fail.
I've got the
It
STD.
would
Okay,
fail.
bye. Like,
Yeah.
Tight.
okay, yeah. Oh, you got chlamydia? Sounds like I need to be a part of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Sounds like Brandon might need to go see his doctor.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Get that drip dick looked at,
You got
buddy.
old cauliflower.
Oh
dick.
my lord.
You gotta-
Okay.
I got a bad case of the drip dick.
old leaky faucet, Brandon.
I've had too much Ghostface drink.
Thanks for calling. Hope you got your dick sorted out there, Big Brando. If you're listening and want to call and leave a voicemail for next week, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We're going to be back next week with a brand new show as always. We're gonna be tackling a classic that is long overdue.
What is it?
We're gonna be talking about the original
Oh, what is it?
Friday the 13th.
Oh,
And
shit.
guess what? The boys will be back.
We're back in town.
Back in town.
We're back.
We're back together, even though Randy's somehow in town and I'm not right now, which we didn't think was going to happen, which
Yeah.
is why I'm not in town, or else I'd be in town.
We're going to cross the streams, baby.
We'll soon be in town, and we're gonna be.
Yeah, I hope you brought some
Fucked up.
Malort, my guy.
I got some left over from like 3 years ago. It's
I don't think that
Shut
Malort's
your
ever going to be
sweet
gone.
candied mouth,
If that
Randy.
Malort
I hope
ever-
you brought
ever-
some
If we
Malort.
ever empty that bottle, all three of us will drop dead. I'm pretty
it's
sure.
true. That's
It's cursed.
It contains our souls.
Yes.
part of our
Yes.
mythology.
Yes, that is
Damn.
the lore for the Straight Chilling Crew.
Our souls taste
I
like
think we just
Clorox.
wrote our episode 400. Anyway,
Dude, we gotta start planning that.
Yeah, goddamn, we
Dude,
kind
I
of do. Slam your eyeballs into Friday the 13th. Get ready for next week's episode. Also, this Friday is Friday the 13th, so like, don't go camping and don't bang and don't get drunk and don't smoke drugs like
Or do
Brandon.
every
Be
one of
like
those things.
Brandon.
Please do.
Brandon's never smoked a drug.
Brandon's sober and sexless as a judge.
That's-
As we
Never
all know,
smoked
judges
a
can't.
drug.
He got STDs from banging his mattress, so
Oh,
that
yeah.
doesn't count.
Oh my god!
It's called the tetanus.
I see
One
it
of those
every
box
day.
spring diseases. God
He's got
damn.
that tetanus dick.
That rusty ass box spring got him
Ooh.
right in the pee hole.
He's got a spring.
God, Bob, what the fuck is
He's
wrong
got a
with
spring
you?
through the dick. All right.
Yeah, that's enough of this. So yeah, check us out on our social medias. You know where to find us. Until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.